Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer. As far as further stimulus is concerned, there are two ways forward. There are two paths forward. One is a process of bipartisan talks, and the second is a process of reconciliation. So, as far as the bipartisan talks go, I want you to know that the director of the White House Economic Council, Brian Deese, there he is. Hello, Brian, is actually speaking with Republicans as well as Democrats. So, the process of bipartisan talks involves the director of the White House Economic Council, Brian Deese, on behalf of President Biden speaking with Republicans on one side and the Democrats on the other side and coming to some sort of a consensus, listening to what they have to say. I did release another video earlier today where I talked about the different points of view from the Republicans as well as the Democrats. There were two areas of consensus. One was that it was important to have a much more targeted stimulus. And in fact, President Biden actually alluded to that earlier and said, hey, he would be open to lowering the income threshold for the $1,400. And the second is they all agreed that more money was needed for vaccine distribution. So, it's sort of like keeping up with all of them and making sure that everyone's concerns are taken into consideration to get their votes. The other process, the second process, is the process of reconciliation. Reconciliation basically means that if Democrats have a simple majority, meaning if there are 51 yes votes, and by the way, if all 50 Democrats vote yes, then the tiebreaker vote comes from Vice President Kamala Harris. There's a Vice President. Hello, Vice President Kamala Harris. So, with the process of reconciliation, the Democrats can simply get stuff done. Now, the most important person when it comes to reconciliation for the Democrats is Congressman John Yarmuth. He's a chairman of the Budget Committee. Now, the Budget Committee is a committee that essentially makes the reconciliation happen. He's a very important figure in all of this, and he's the person that is essentially going to be under the spotlight when it comes to passing reconciliation. And lo and behold, the Democrats are not only pursuing reconciliation as a plan B strategy, as a two-track strategy, is what you're about to hear, because you're about to hear an interview with John Yarmuth. He's a Democrat, he's a congressman, and he's the chairman of the Budget Committee. Not only are they pursuing that, they are very clear about what is possible and what's not possible. You'll actually hear John Yarmuth saying, yeah, the $15 minimum wage is a bit of a stretch. And he said, we are pursuing this as a two-track strategy in case the bipartisan groups don't work out. We're clearly seeing the plan that the Democrats have. And what's interesting is that Congressman Yarmuth said that the Democrats are willing to go to the floor as early as next week for the reconciliation process to try and pass stimulus as quickly as possible. So let's be clear, there are two processes here. There's the bipartisan talks that can go on one side. This process can actually continue while the process of reconciliation can actually begin, and then the Democrats can pass budget reconciliation instructions in the House and send it over to the Senate. And if by that time the Senate has worked out some sort of a bipartisan deal, well, then they'll go for that because they want something that's bipartisan. But in case they don't, the Democrats will like, oh, well, we'll just pass it through reconciliation. This means that the Democrats are moving as quickly as possible to get things done, and they have a plan A and they have a plan B in place. This is very interesting, and we'll actually hear from the chairman of the Budget Committee, the Democrat John Yarmuth, in his own words, and he also commented on the $15 an hour minimum wage. Super interesting comments about what's actually going on behind the scenes and what we can expect to see next week as the stimulus package essentially comes into fruition. And in the clip that you're about to see, one thing that really struck me was that Congressman Yarmuth basically said, hey man, we can't wait very long. And by the way, Bernie Sanders has said, we can't wait weeks and weeks and months, and that level of urgency has also been expressed by President Biden, has also been expressed by Brian Deese. So we have Bernie Sanders, hey Bernie, and we have President Biden both saying, hey, this is urgent, and we have Brian Deese essentially again working with the bipartisan group of senators. But John Yarmuth, you'll hear him say, hey, we can't wait too long. The unemployment benefits are going to expire. The economy needs more help. We need to do something right now. And by the way, another big question is, can the Senate get this done before the impeachment trial? Between today and the start of the impeachment trial, there's about a week and a half for the Senate to actually try and come to a consensus. To be honest, I wouldn't hold my breath for the Senate to come to a consensus. I believe that the way this is likely to play out is that the senators will say what they have to say, they'll go back and forth, and ultimately the Democrats will be like, oh, we're fed up, we're just doing it through reconciliation. I believe that is how it's going to play out, unless, of course, we see a surprise from certain Republican senators who are like, yeah, let's do this. So one thing is for sure, something is very, very likely to happen, And again, let's hear about the Plan B option from Democrats, which is the process of reconciliation and what they have going on straight from the horse's mouth, if you will. Congressman John Yarmuth, who's the chairman of the Budget Committee. Let's roll the tape.
Thanks for coming in. Many people know, but just so everybody knows, you and your committee are central to the path forward here. If Democrats pull the plug on bipartisan talks, it's your committee that must kickstart the alternative path known as reconciliation. How long are you willing to hold out for bipartisan talks?
Well, Kate, good to be with you. We don't have to wait at all. As a matter of fact, we could look at this as kind of a parallel track. We are prepared to go to the floor as early as next week with a reconciliation resolution. And the committees that are involved are all working this week. We'll be ready to go. Those negotiations that are happening now can continue. We can pass our budget reconciliation instructions and get them over to the Senate. And then if they reach an agreement, which would be great, we'd all prefer a bipartisan agreement. Then we can just withdraw those reconciliation instructions and use that process for something else down the road. But we're going to move ahead.
But do you think that helps or hurts the kind of spirit of bipartisan negotiation if you're saying this is sitting in the background, boys?
Well, we're not really worried about which path we take. What we're worried about is the suffering of the American people right now and the urgent need to get help getting the vaccine distributed and put into hundreds of millions of American arms. We can't get this money out overnight. And some of the provisions, for instance, the extending the unemployment insurance supplement, that expires in mid-March. So we can't wait around for negotiations very long because we have to get help out urgently. Again, if we're going to get the vaccine distributed efficiently and get the American public vaccinated and get help to the millions of American people who are still suffering a lot. We're seeing now 900,000 additional people filing for unemployment the last couple of weeks. They need that help.
Do you need to move ahead one way or the other before the Senate impeachment trial begins?
Well, obviously the House is not affected by the impeachment trial, so we're going to do the work that we have to do. And I think it would be great if the Senate could act on this before the impeachment trial begins. Realistically, that gives them about a week and a half now to get that done, which probably won't happen. But again, I hope the negotiations are fruitful and successful. I think that you can make a case for virtually everything in President Biden's proposal, the $1.9 trillion, that it actually does relate to COVID virus and the economic fallout from that. So, I think we have a very strong case. I think the American people are behind us. And again, there is a sense of urgency here. We can't wait 2 months. We passed a major bill in last May. Republicans said, let's wait. We passed one in October. They said, let's wait. We finally got the $900 billion plan in late December. And we said at the time, and virtually every economist across the philosophical spectrum says the same thing. That wasn't enough. We need to do more. We need to do more rather than less. And that's what we're going to do.
There's a question, though, maybe a debate on what could be done, though, allowed, really, if you go the reconciliation process. And this gets into the weeds that makes everyone's eyes glaze over. Yeah. But if you move through that process, do you think if a $15 minimum wage meets the criteria of reconciliation?
To be very candid with you, I think that's a stretch. I think we'll have a problem clearing what's called the Byrd Rule in the Senate, which means that you can't make policy and you have to have more than an incidental impact on the budget in order to include it in reconciliation instructions. Eventually, that decision's made by the parliamentarian, and so we'll see. But we're gonna put that in there, the instructions, and see what the parliamentarian says.
Critical days ahead. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Gabe.
That's it, everyone. Let me know what you thought of comments from Congressman John Yarmuth about the process of reconciliation that the Democrats, it's essentially Plan B for them, and it's something that they won't hesitate to push forward with if the bipartisan talks continue to drag on. And we know what that's like, because the bipartisan talks basically dragged on for months and months before the election. I've said this before, this is like a game of chess, except the players are slightly different now. Now we have President Biden on the chessboard, we have House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and we have the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. But the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is also a player here because he can try and get other Republican senators on board. So whatever deal we have can be a bipartisan targeted deal, as opposed to the Democrats trying to push through reconciliation. At this moment in time, for me, the odds are on reconciliation, but we'll wait and see how things evolve. In politics, there's one thing that's certain, and that is that things are uncertain. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You'll get a link to the resource that we used in the description section below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. I try and bring you important news every single day, news that will help you make the right decisions. I want you to be happy. I want us to be in party mode. At some point, when we're past all this stimulus stuff and the unemployment stuff, I want it to be raining money. Well, seriously, I want to teach you how to make money. I want to teach you how to save money, and I'm going to teach you how to invest money. And you can do that when you understand how politics works. I'll help you understand what's going on in the complex world of politics. What's going on with President Biden? What's going on with House Speaker Pelosi? What's going on with the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer? There he is. What's going on with the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell? That's interesting to call him Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. There he is. I'll help you understand what's going on in the complex world of politics, how it affects the country, and by extension, how it affects your money. Remember, we release videos every single day, and I'm asking you to subscribe to our channel. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that. The name of our channel is Ignition Time. I would really appreciate if you do that. Please share this video with just 2 friends or family members. That's 2 friends or family members. You'll find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. So make sure you check out the description section below. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. Our Instagram community is growing very rapidly. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. In fact, right here, you'll see me on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter. You'll learn in real time what I'm reading, what I'm retweeting. Become a part of our growing Twitter community. Speaking of community, please comment below and engage with our community. We are a growing, bipartisan, respectful community. As always, once again, you'll get the link to all of our resources in the description section below. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That tells a YouTube algorithm that you found this video helpful. I really appreciate you watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thanks.